So today, Pushpita will discuss about the different theories of safety.
Thank you, sir. I welcome everybody to our class. I'll be sharing the whiteboard so that it's easy for everyone to follow. And we'll be discussing the different theories of disaster management and safety with examples. So, please let me know if everybody can see the whiteboard.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I'm starting. With regard to disaster management, there are different theories that provide structural explanations of how and why disasters occur. So while some theories might emphasize on direct causation, cause and effect relations, others focus on the complexity and human behavior and psychological processes that take place. So understanding these theories can provide a much clearer um, overview of how these theories can be applied to real life scenarios and how they explain different safety failures and disasters that usually happen. So I'll list out all the different theories that we will be going through today. I hope my screen and whatever I'm typing on the screen is visible to everybody.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you remember I was talking about the single factor theory in last class, yesterday's class?
Yes.
Okay, so single factor theory, as I was saying previously as well, that it is a theory that suggests that disasters occur primarily due to one dominant cause. Okay. One dominant cause. So I was giving an example of Japan and earthquakes that happen. So yesterday I mentioned that since Japan is a very located in a seismic zone, it's very prone to earthquakes. So suppose if a building falls during the earthquake itself is a primary cause of the disaster. The focus remains on the tectonic activity as a direct and sufficient explanation for the collapse of the buildings that happened there. Okay, so in response to such theory, the planning, disaster response planning is guided by emphasis on earthquake monitoring systems, preparedness that would focus on seismic hazard mapping, and mitigation that would result in earthquake resistant constructions. Another example of this might be a gas leak in a industry. So it might be given as just a minute. Sorry. So as I was saying regarding the single factor theory, if I suppose a gas leak that is happening in an industry, so gas leak in itself is the sole cause of the disaster. Nothing precipitates that disaster, or nothing is moderating or mediating that disaster. Okay, so as an example over here, I can mention earthquakes and gas leaks as sole In comparison to single factor theory, I had mentioned yesterday regarding the domino theory as well. Are we aware of what a domino is?
One failure leads to another failure.
Absolutely, absolutely correct. So, we have games with regard to different dominoes. It is like you put a lot of sticks together side by side continuously, and when you throw one off, it causes a reaction that makes all the other dominoes fall as well. So from here, we are coming to our domino theory, in which Anand sir absolutely said correctly, where each event triggers the next. Each event is resulting in a domino reaction, wherein if we remove one factor, if I remove any one of these sticks from the middle, then it will prevent the final disaster from happening. For example, factory fire. Okay, in factory fire, what is happening? Suppose the safety training is inadequate, workers ignore protective procedures that are there, flammable materials are not stored properly, and the spark ignites in the material and a large scale fire breaks out. So, according to the domino theory, the disaster, that is the factory fire, did not occur suddenly. It was a result of a sequence of failures from the very beginning, starting from the safety training that was inadequate to the spark that led to the big fire. If the factory had provided adequate training and if the factory was provided adequate training to the employees, then unsafe storage may not have occurred. And if materials were stored properly, then the spark might not have caused a major fire. I hope everybody is understanding. If you want me to repeat anything, please let me know.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm writing down here as well, chain of reaction of events where each event triggers the next. Removing one factor from the domino series prevents the major disaster. Similarly, if I say that there is a road traffic disaster, can someone please tell me what a domino effect of the road traffic disaster might be? Like, what might be the very starting point to the end point? Can anybody please say? It doesn't have to be right or wrong. It can just be an assumption of what all can happen to lead to a massive road blockage or a traffic disaster.
Suppose there is a pothole on the road and the car driver doesn't see it from the distance, and when it come close to the pothole, he may see it and apply the brake. Then suddenly somebody is traveling behind him at the equal speed, may hit him from behind, and then subsequently other cars also hit him. Then there is a traffic block, road block, everything will happen in a sequence.
Right. So it absolutely starts from road maintenance failure to maybe driver was speeding or something, and then it collides into the other cars, crashing into the car that has already fallen in the pothole. Right. So that is a very good another explanation of the domino theory. Okay. So the accident or the disaster is the final domino in the sequence of systematic failures. Preventing anyone can prevent the massive chain and stop it from happening at all. Okay, so domino theory emphasizes on early intervention and safety culture to prevent the cascading effects that usually follows. After the domino theory, we have the multiple factor theory. Multiple factor theory argues that the disaster arises from an interaction of several risk factors that are operating simultaneously. Okay. It represents a significant shift from single cause explanations that we have seen with the single factor theory, and it emphasizes that disasters usually occur due to the interaction of multiple contributing factors that occur simultaneously or sequentially. Okay. So, for instance, there is urban flooding that is happening. Metropolitan cities can get flooded. It can happen due to a cloud burst, as we have been seeing in the past years. So, it might not be solely caused by heavy rainfall. Instead, there might be other factors involved. Apart from heavy rainfall, there might be deforestation happening, encroachment on wetlands, there might be poor drainage system, unplanned urban expansion, and obviously climate change effects. So here, as you can see, no single factor is sufficient explanation for this particular disaster. Instead, multiple circumstances, events, or vulnerabilities are happening which overlap. And if even one or two of these conditions were absent, then the impact may have been reduced. Let's explain this with the urban flooding example only. All the mountain areas that are facing such heavy floods, Himachal, Manali, Sikkim, Gangtok, all these regions, if suppose we don't go ahead with the deforestation, the mass tree felling that happens in these areas, if we just keep the trees as it is, it might stop the water limitedly, it might stop the water from trickling downstream. It might help barricade the heavy rainfall that is happening. So, even if two or three of these conditions were absent, then the impact of the flooding would not be as much. Okay, is this understandable by everybody?
Yeah. And
Yes.
also, we can give one example of actually real time scenarios. Like, suppose work at height is going on,
Yes,
and
yes.
multiple, you can say, the preventive measures which are required to be taken. Like, example, now there are openings in the floor. Okay, that is not barricaded or that is not closed. That is one
Mm-hmm.
factor. Then
Mm-hmm.
for work at height, for adjuster is required to be provided, that is not provided. Suppose then lifeline is required to be provided, that is not provided. Also, full body harness is not used by the workman. Okay, and
Absolutely,
then
absolutely.
all these factors are the multiple factors which are, and maybe training also not well. These multiple factors. Okay, and if the training is given or the openings are closed or the fall arrester is provided, so these are the actually avoidable. This you can say avoidable points where the you can eliminate the incident.
Absolutely, absolutely correct, Anand sir. Thank you so much. So, with these examples, I hope it is much more clearer how these different theories work in understanding disaster management and how that what other things can be done to prevent disasters from actually happening. Okay, so just a minute, I'll just complete this. Another example of this, we can also understand the COVID pandemic that actually happened. So suppose there's high population density, poor sanitization, delayed government response, public misinformation, global travel networks, all of these are can lead to the panic that actually happened among the uh, Indian population or all over the world. So even if one or two of these factors could be controlled, if the government had responded in proper time, if proper information was given to the public without leading to public panic responses, then perhaps some impact of the COVID-19 could have been handled better. Okay. So next we come on to the systems theory. Systems theory. So system theories views our society as interconnected systems. Okay. It provides a very holistic and dynamic perspective on disaster by viewing them as failures within this complex interconnected system of our society. Okay, so what are these independent subsystems in our society? It can be infrastructure, it can be technology, can be human operators, institutions, or even the natural environment. So a disaster that occurs, and when it occurs, it causes disruption in not in any part of this system, and then it spreads to the other components, leading to a cascading effect. A similar to the domino theory, if you can say so, but over here we are viewing all the departments of the society or all the components of the society as different subsystems. Okay, so for example, power grid collapse that happens. Okay, so in a major city, if there is a wide shortage, power grid collapse that happens, it can be due to a storm that damages the power lines, the environmental subsystem, electricity supply fails, mechanical subsystem, communication networks also shut down, hospitals lose life support systems, and then water supply pumps may also stop functioning, public panic increases. So over here, there are different subsystems of the society that are failing one after the other just because one subsystem gets affected. Okay. Another example of this would be a nuclear disaster, some sort. So suppose in a nuclear power plant, technical malfunction occurs. Once the technical malfunction occurs, the warning systems that are supposed to warn against technical malfunctions, they also fail. It might be that the operators misinterpret the signals, and from there, the emergency protocols are delayed. And because the emergency protocols are delayed, the evacuation communication fails or are delayed, leading to loss in life and other impact that a nuclear disaster can have. So, the systems theory explains disaster not as a single failure, but as a breakdown in technical, organizational, and communication system. Is this understandable? Any doubt till now?
Yeah, it is okay.
Huh?
It is okay.
Okay.
Yeah, understood.
I'll just write down over here, then we can move on to the next. Okay. So moving on, next we have our motivation and reward satisfaction theory. That is a psychological model in how incidents or accidents occur. Here, as it is a psychological model, it explains unsafe behavior as an influence as an influence of perceived rewards and motivation dynamics. For example, a construction site negligence. Workers at a construction site may avoid wearing safety helmets. Why? Why will they avoid wearing safety helmets? For example, maybe they think that it slows down their work, or maybe they think that it takes time to strap on the helmets, whereas their supervisors are rewarding faster completion of work. So if they don't waste time in strapping on their helmets and strapping on their protective gear, they are saving on the time to work better, to complete their work faster. Maybe there is no strict enforcement of protective gears. Oh, and there is a peer culture that dismisses safety concerns. One may say that, oh, I too did my work last day without wearing helmet, nothing happened. And that kind of encourages all the other members, peer group or members of the association say that, oh, okay, fine, if we don't wear helmets, nothing will happen. Now, here, it is to be understood that the immediate reward, that is, supervisor praises their faster completion of work, extra bonuses that they might get, outweighs the perceived risk. Perceived risk, why? Because it is saying that they don't think that wearing the helmet is a risky behavior. They think that nothing is going to happen to them. And instead, when they are thinking that nothing is going to happen, no bad accidents will be happening, they are focusing more on the reward that comes with not wearing the helmet, the time that they are saving, the extra work that they can get done during this time, and how the boss might be praising them for their faster work. So when an accident occurs, it is not just a mechanical failure, but it is an motivational imbalance as well. Okay. Is this clear, or would you like me to repeat this, because this is a little bit based on the psychological models?
Clear.
Hello? Hello? If somebody was saying something, I could not. I'm not being able to understand. The voice is getting
Actually,
very.
he accidentally unmuted himself.
Okay.
So he has muted himself again.
Okay then. But I hope this is clear for everybody then.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I'll just write down a little bit and then we can move forward. Okay. Next, model that we will be, theory that we will be learning is human factor theory. In human factor theory, it emphasizes that disasters often result from normal human limitations or human errors that can happen when interacting with complex mechanical systems. For example, an aviation crash or a plane crash. Okay. An airplane crash can happen for a number of reasons. It can happen because the pilot is fatigued. It can happen because the warning alarms create a cognitive overload on the pilot. They get frazzled when the warning systems go off. They might misinterpret those signals, or they might not know what to do at that point of time. Otherwise, it can also happen because weather conditions reduce visibility. Communications between the pilot and the control tower is unclear. So, the human factors theory, before it starts blaming the pilot alone for all the crash that is happening, for all the failure, pilot's failure and all that, this theory examines the work schedules, cockpit designs, training procedures, and stress management systems that are in place. It tries to tackle the mismatch between the human cognitive capacity and the system demands. So it tries to fix the system demands in order to maintain a relation with the human cognitive capacity. Okay, this same thing can be understood with regard to doctors in our healthcare system. So a surgeon who might be extremely trained, who might have a lot of years of experience under his belt, but long shifts, emotional stress, distractions in the operating room can all lead to human errors on the doctor's part. So instead of focusing all the blame on the doctor, this theory would focus on the work-life balance between the schedules of the doctors, different maybe programs, meditational programs that can relieve the doctor of emotional stress, and try to obviously reduce the number of distractors in the operating room. So, this theory encourages redesigning the systems to accommodate human limitations rather than attributing all the fault on the humans. I hope this is also understood. If there is any doubt, please feel free to ask. And since there is a lack of space, I'm writing down over here. Okay, so I don't think there is any doubt in this theory. So we will be moving on to our last theory that we have. Second last, sorry. So the second last theory that we have is the energy release theory. Energy release theory explains disaster in terms of uncontrolled energy release or discharge. For example, a gas explosion or a nuclear energy disaster that happens. So, for example, in a gas explosion that happens in a residential building, gas accumulates due to leakage, ventilation might be poor, a spark ignites the gas, and the explosion occurs. So, here the disaster is explained as a sudden release of chemical energy that exceeded the containment barriers, because over here the gas could not be contained anymore. So it is an excess energy and which is being discharged uncontrollably. Or for example, maybe hydro energy, if we talk about that, a dam might also collapse. So for example, if a water stored behind a dam represents potential energy, if the structural barriers fail, then the water is released suddenly. Flooding devastates the downstream communities, can lead to severe floods in the village areas. Okay, so the energy release theory, it involves uncontrollable energy releases, and its focus is on preventing and controlling energy sources and strengthening the physical barriers to contain that energy. Okay. I hope this is also understandable and it is clear. If not, please go ahead and feel free to ask before we move on to our last theory, that is our Rabindric psychotherapy safety theory.
Yeah, it is okay. You carry on.
Okay. Thank you, Anand sir. I'll just write down and then we can move on to the last theory. Okay. So lastly, we have Rabindric psychotherapy safety theory, which emphasizes a balance between human psychology, between human regulation as essential factors to disaster management and recovery. Let's understand this with another example. Workplace aggression leading to an industrial accident. Suppose an emotionally distressed worker is experiencing anger or jealousy or resentment, who, in the flow of emotions, may ignore safety protocols, may act impulsively, and fail to report um, small failures or hazards that he is seeing. So, here we can see a psychological imbalance contributes to unsafe behavior. Similarly, once the disaster has already happened, survivors of the disaster may face trauma, fear, hopelessness, and community mistrust can also develop. Social cooperation weakens. So, if psychological healing is neglected, according to this theory, recovery efforts may stall. Recovery efforts may go absolutely in vain. Okay, so emotional resilience and collective empathy are crucial for rebuilding the relation that one individual has with another in a community or in an organization. Here, the focus of Rabindra's psychotherapy safety theory is on the psychological and the humanistic dimension of disaster management. So, over here, it talks about emotional balance, ethical awareness, and psychological well being. It proposes that inner psychological disturbances such as fear, aggression, stress, and emotional imbalance can increase the likelihood of unsafe behavior, poor decision making, and thereby contributing to accidents or disasters. And from this perspective, disaster prevention and recovery are not just technical and organizational challenges, but also involve psychological processes. So, emotional regulation, empathy, moral responsibility, and collective psychological resilience are seen as essential for reducing disaster risk and promoting recovery. um, as I was saying regarding a post disaster example, that I was saying that survivors may experience trauma, fear, hopelessness, social cooperation may weaken. So, this theory is particularly relevant in post disaster context where these factors hinder rehabilitation efforts. So, by integrating uh, different psychotherapy practices, safety principles, this theory highlights the role of mental health in sustainable disaster management. Is this again understandable by everybody?
Can you just repeat those factors which you told? That is cascading to the incident, some stress and all these
Yes,
things.
yes, sure, sure. So,
I'll just
inner
note down.
psychological disturbances like fear, aggression, stress, emotional imbalance, these increases the likelihood of unsafe behavior and poor decision making. So, as I was saying over here with an example, that an emotionally distressed worker, maybe he's having a bad day, maybe there are some problems in his family, he is emotionally overwhelmed. On that day, he might forget to put his helmet on, or he may, not button his PPE kit properly. He may act impulsively if he's in a bad mood. He can maybe not take supervisors' advise properly. He may fail to report some issues in the mechanism, operating machinery that is there present. And if these incidents might lead to a larger accident that might happen. So suppose these operational machinery failure, in that small failure leads to a big incident. If he reported it on time, it could have been prevented. But since was not reported, nothing could be done about that, and a larger accident took place. So, over here, this theory, Rabindra's psychotherapy safety theory, takes into account of how psychological and humanistic or emotional imbalance can lead to accidents. And once the accident has happened, this theory also focuses on the rehabilitation aspect, how to bring forth all the employees of that disaster or of that accident back again, and integrate them into the organization so that they can come out of the trauma that they might feel or of the fear that they might have to go near machinery again.
There is one actually doubt here.
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah, see, these factors which you explained, no, that is fear, aggression, emotional inabilities or poor
Hmm.
decision making,
Hmm, hmm,
that
hmm.
may be the issue. So Ravindra's psychotherapy will treat the patient post incident, correct?
It focuses on that, but it also considers how emotional imbalance may lead to an accident
Okay.
or a disaster.
Okay. So my question is, how to identify those factors in the workforce, like whether the workforce, some person is in the fear, or somebody is in aggression, or somebody is having the emotional imbalance, or maybe on that day he is having some poor decision making. See, how to identify those scenarios in particular workforce?
It, according to me, it comes down to smaller units that are present. For example, a higher level manager who does not have one-to-one interaction with all his employees will not be able to identify a person who's having a bad day or is in a bad mood. But a person or peer group, support group that exists on the field, they will be able to identify that, okay, that person might need extra help or that person may need extra supervision. So peer groups and small units with one leader who is very much interacting with their subordinates, you can say, or maybe even peers as well, then accordingly those incidents can be taken into account far better. You get to identify who has a bad day, who is having an emotional reaction, and if you see that a person is having an emotional reaction, give that person the day off or give him some time off. Then that would make the precipitating factor of the accidents much more manageable and preventable.
Okay. So one-to-one interaction is very important before start of the job.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So in some cases, it is possible where the maybe batch of people are five, six, or seven. However, hello,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
no,
please.
am I audible?
Yes,
However, in
yes.
case there are more number of people involved, no, so 20, 25. That in that case, it may not be possible for supervisor to interact with each and
That is
everyone.
why I'm saying smaller units, peer
Smaller,
groups.
yeah.
Maybe divide them in a
Okay.
group of five.
Yeah, yeah.
Make each
Okay.
one person head of the group so that it's a rotating shift
Mm.
or rotating
Okay.
task that they can have. So that
Okay. Okay.
so supervisors are also talking to each of them in turns, and they are
Mm.
also being a close unit group, helping each other navigate through their
Okay.
life.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Anytime, anytime. Anybody has any other questions? I'll just jot down the points for the Ravindric psychotherapy safety theory over here for everyone to see. And also, I would like to inform everyone that this particular note or material on the theories have been uploaded in the Google Classroom. So please feel free to see whenever it is possible or feasible for anybody. And if you have any problem, please feel free to reach out to me as well. Then I can help you better. If there is no other question, then I think I am done with my portion. I would like to inform sir about this. Sir, are you present?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm done with my portion.
Okay, thank you.
Should I stop the whiteboard then?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Now you make me host.
Yes, sir. Done, sir.
Okay. Please look at this picture. Hello, students. Are you here?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please look at the picture. And what comes to your mind looking at this picture? Hello. Have you seen the picture?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Anybody
Okay,
would
so
like to
everybody tries to
comment on this? Anybody?
give some name of this individual.
Anybody wants to comment on this?
Looks like a safety marshal who is wear worn all the required PPEs for performing his duties.
Okay. Any other observation? Now, if I tell you, just you write down some of the attributes of this individual, then what comes to your mind? One by one, just tell me. What comes to your mind?
It is just a representation of how you can work safely by wearing all these PPEs. Just a representation or maybe pictorial. So manicure, it is actually manicure of person wearing all the PPEs.
Okay. Now you tell me that you don't think it is a manicure, but you just imagine this is one person in Tata Power Plant. So what he is doing now?
Yes,
Is
where all the PPs are now going for some work.
Okay.
waiting
And
for some instructions, waiting for instructions look like.
Okay. What did he do few minutes back?
He took all the PPs from his locker and wear it.
Okay. And what he is thinking?
He's thinking about today's job, what he need to do, and then instructions, what his supervisors is going to tell him.
So whatever the things you have told, these are basically the behavioral point of view. That is the Murto layer of consciousness. Just now, Pushpita has finished Ravindric psychotherapy model of safety. So Ravindric psychotherapy model of safety includes the consciousness. The first consciousness, first layer, that is the behavioral characteristics. Okay. So you have given importance on the behavioral pattern. Now you tell me his emotional pattern. Pushpita has finished that anxiety, aggression, and many things she told. So, what do you think about this individual?
He looks calm and composed, just waiting for instructions. No hurriness for the work, or may is not in angry position, or may not be angry, or looking like angry, or he know his work very well and just waiting for the instruction.
That means he is waiting for the instruction only, and he is calm and cool. Okay. So, whatever the attributes you have told, this is basically the rag layer of our consciousness. So, in our consciousness, three layers are there. First layer is the Murto layer. Second layer is the rag layer. That is the emotive area. And now you give me any name of this person. Looking at his desk or totality. Name, or you can tell just one word. That can describe this man.
Safety marshal.
Mm. Safety
Safety
marshal,
maestro.
very okay. Safety marshal, good. Any other name? Safety marshal, very good name. Who told? I cannot see anyone.
Samir.
But thank you. Safety marshal. So we can tell that, okay, this person is safety marshal. When I say that this individual has the title safety marshal, then that connotes what are the things that this individual is very much safety conscious, calm, cool, and always waiting for the instruction. So that is the totality of this individual. That is basically the Saraswat layer of consciousness. So there are three layers of consciousness. Murto layer, second one is the Rag layer, third one is the Saraswat layer.
Sir,
Saraswat means
can you please repeat the third layer? What is the name?
Saraswat, Saraswat.
Okay, sir. Saraswat. Okay, sir.
Okay. So in Murto layer, you will follow the behavioral characteristics and which can be observed. So this individual is wearing the PPE, that is personal protective equipment, properly. This is the behavioral part. That is the Murto layer. And the second one is the Rag layer. That is calm, cool, very high level of residue. And the last one is the Saraswat, that is the harmony. Now, in your plant, if you grade the individual as the what Shamir Babu has told, safety marshal grade 1, safety marshal grade 2, safety marshal grade 3, safety marshal grade 4, safety marshal grade 5. What does it mean? What you can think about the safety marshal 1, individual personality?
If someone is fulfilling all the requirements, so maybe he can be ranked as a 1. If someone is missing any of the requirements from the 3 layers, so he can be ranked 2. And if somebody is missing more layers, so he can be ranked as a 3, like that. So 1 is the topmost where he is meeting fulfilling all the criteria of the layers. Behavioral aspect is good, calm, cool, also harmonic. That is.
Okay. That means when you say safety marshal, a grade 1, that means this individual is the model. Okay. And that is the Saraswat layer. Now you can classify your worker among these three categories. When your employee joins, they are learning HIRA. They are learning several safety rules and regulations, etc. So the first time they are learning, that is in the Murto layer. And when that employee feels that I love to learn all those things, I have to develop my own capacity building, competency building, then that individual consciousness goes to the rag layer. And when the individual is identified by the surroundings, that he is the model of safety marshal, then this individual will go to the Saraswat layer. So there is a flow. There is a flow. Flow of what? Flow of images. Like quantum consciousness, the images are assumed or analogous to the atom. Now, if you break the atom, then you will get the three things: electron, proton, another one, neutron. Now, if you break the image, then like electron, proton, and neutron, you can classify the image putting some weightage. That is the negative image, positive image, and neutral image. I joined Tata Power. At that moment, it goes to the Murto layer. After that, I am following several instructions. I cannot follow all the instructions because the instruction has some negative connotation. Therefore, that image will go to the domain of negative affectivity. And when I find the instruction is positive to me, then that instruction has the weightage of positive. So that will move to our positive domain. And when we do not find, just like mechanical structure, I am following the rules only. That is the neutral. Neutral affectivity. And when there will be the harmony, that is myself and the instructions. So you cannot make any difference between the two. Then it will go to the Saraswat layer of consciousness. That is total harmony is there. The individual identifies himself with that particular role. Okay. Now, is there any question to me? The three layers of consciousness.
Is this applicable for, means similar for all the experience level?
Yes. This is the beauty of the quantum consciousness in Rabindra's psychotherapy model. Okay, now you tell me whether this individual is very much ethical or not.
Sir, can you repeat the question?
Whether this individual is ethical or not.
Yeah, it is ethical.
Yes, sir, because
Ethical.
he is disciplined about wearing PPs. So it seems he is ethical also.
Oh, very good. Whether this individual is brave.
Yeah, it is.
No, sir, I think.
Okay. Why not, Srijal?
He's not like, he's not taking risk taking behavior, unnecessary risk he will not take.
That's a very critical problem in Tata Power. In our study, we have noted that risk-taking behavior is very much confusing in Tata Power because the instruction is that you have to take risk, otherwise you cannot solve the problem in time. Again, in another point, we are telling that you should not be very much risky. I think Abhijit sir is here. Abhijit sir can describe better because he is dealing with this risk behavior analysis. Abhijit sir, are you here?
Yes, yes. What you are saying is correct. Actually, the problems what we face is this is the dilemma of each and every individual who are working at site. Once one side he gets the message to work safely and properly, while workload pressure sometimes makes him think to bypass things to do it fast. So productivity versus compliance. There is a conflict. Sometimes it happens within people.
So in training, what we will tell, because in Tata Power, this is a very serious issue. Okay, now tell me, just to write down what you tell. What is the lifestyle of this man? Do you have, sorry, do this person has any difficulty in sleeping? Just to imagine.
Most possibly no, because he his face do not show signs of tiredness or stress. He's calm and quite composed.
Nice. Nice. Whether this individual takes alcohol regularly or intermittently.
No,
Uh,
sir. No, sir, because I don't think
Hmm.
he will do something which will harm his body.
Good. Any other? Okay. Whether this individual regularly does different exercises, gym practice, or the walking, running.
Yes, he seems fit.
Okay. So now, whatever the things I have told you, and you are trying to imagine this individual. So this imagination is based upon some of your learned ideas or conditional ideas.
Yes, sir.
Because we are conditioned. That means our rag layer is conditioned. And finally, we reach at the Saraswat layer. Now you tell me whether this individual has the value on self-awakening. Self-awakening, what is the meaning of self-awakening? Self-awakening is the value. That is when one individual is any particular problem, he tries to himself think the problem as the positive, not as the negative. So what do you think? For example, during the examination on math, sometimes we find, oh, math, I cannot solve. But some student says, I want math. Because math helps me to overcome different problems. That is the self-awakening. For that reason, Ravindric psychotherapist uses different guided imagery process. Okay. So whatever the things today we are discussing, that is the attribute analysis. We can analyze the attribute of the object. For example, this PPE, this personal protective equipment, we can analyze that object also. That is the attribute. We can analyze the attribute of the helmet. We can analyze the attribute of the gloves. We can analyze the attribute of shoes. Why? Because by the analysis of those materials, we can design the shoes, we can design the gloves, we can design the helmet, belt, etc., shoot, etc. Like that, we have to design our workmen. And for that reason, we have to study the attributes of the human being by using this Ravindric psychotherapy based consciousness topography model. So can you tell me in which layer we are paying attention to the observable characteristics? That can be observed.
Rag layer.
Which layer? No.
The Saraswat layer.
No. That is the main confusion in Tata Power that has been reflected in our study. The psychological safety consciousness that is not very clear among the managers as well as the workers. So there is a gap of understanding. Therefore, you have to pay much attention to this consciousness topography model. So observable characteristics, how this individual wears his shoes, gloves, etc. That is the observable, that you can observe. That is the Murto layer. Okay. Now it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, what this individual thinks, what this individual feels now, that will be in which layer? Just try.
Rag layer.
Very good. And when this individual enters in the Tata Power, he himself identifies as safety marshal. Just like black belt, etc. So you can tell safety marshal. So that will be at which layer?
Murto layer.
No.
This Saraswat layer means when how everybody notice him.
Correct. That is the Saraswat layer. So please you discuss, and today I am trying to tell you the Ravindric psychotherapy based model of safety. That means if the individual is very anxious, feeling loneliness, the individual thinks that is, I cannot do anything, then we will train this individual by one Rabindra Sangit. That is the, do you know any Rabindra Sangit?
No, sir.
Akla Chalore.
Okay.
Okay, that is the spirit that you can apply by activity, by the guided imagery. And to make the individual calm and cool totally, then you can apply Ananda Loke, Mongola Loke, Virajo Satya Sundara. So these are some of the songs. And when you think that individual lies at the rag layer, then you apply আলোকের এই ঝর্ণা ধারায় ধুইয়ে দাও, this particular song. If you are interested, I can give you these 3 songs to you. I have applied these songs in my psychotherapy, psychological counseling. I have developed the concept of Ravindic psychotherapy by using Rabindra Sangit. And I have studied the 3 layers of consciousness. Not only qualitative approach, but also quantitative approach. Okay. Now, any question? And try to imagine yourself. Are you at the Murto layer now, na Rag layer or Saraswat layer? You know, this psychometric assessment that we are doing, it is very hectic job. But we are learning out of it, regularly learning. And we are thankful to Abhijit sir and Madam Pandey for giving me chance to interact with you for the psychometric assessment. Because this psychometric assessment is at our Saraswat layer. We are regularly learning through the psychometric assessment. And we are very much thankful to all of you for giving us chance. Initially, it appears to me at the Murto layer. And repeated thinking, repeated assessment, continuous assessment, continuous feedback from Abhijit sir and other safety officers. It comes to our Rag layer. Then sometimes we feel it is very much stressful to move here and there repeatedly. Our surroundings are also telling the same thing. Sir, you are not considering your age. Sir, you are not considering everything. So sometimes it becomes at the Rag layer. Now it is at our Saraswat layer. So Mahabishwe, Mahakashe, Mahakaler Majhe. Ami manavo ekaki brahmi bishaye brahmi bishaye. So please you read some of the Rabindra Sangit, and then you can feel that how that Sangit or the lyrics can help you in safety management. Now it is clear to all of you. Any question? How is today's class?
It was good, interactive, and a lot of information. Disaster theory, then Ravindric psychotherapy. So two things very important learnings today.
Okay.
Today's class was
Now,
very insightful, sir. Thank you. I was able to reflect on my consciousness level and what all things I should focus more to become like a better version of myself, to understand myself more.
very good. Thank you, Shejal. Thank you, Anand. What happened?
Yes,
How
sir.
is the class, British?
Sir. Totally new thing, and with that three layer of consciousness, totally a new chapter. And to understand the levels of which layer a particular individual is, I think it will take time for us to better understand and to observe many new things we need to gather before getting confidently answer of these three layers, which part an individual is.
Thank you, British. Ujjwal, any feedback? Samir Babu?
Yeah,
Ravi Kumar?
this was totally a new thing for me. So I think, sir, if you can share some study material to deeply so that we can have a deeply more deep information about these layers, it would be more useful for me.
Sure, sure. Hello, Farah, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Farah has done a lot of research on Ravindric psychotherapy. So, Farah, you can give some of our research value
Sure.
analysis, that is the of army people.
Yes, sir.
That paper you can, that is published
Yes, sir.
paper, and our published
Work
paper
values.
in the
Yes, sir. Work values and all the other paper. Total, there are 5, 6 papers are there. So if they want to know about the Sangeet, which are illustrated with the values, then work value paper is suitable. And if they want to learn about the how these values are related to army people and police officers, then the police officer paper is good because it has depth. Like what is the meaning of value, how it comes from Rabindra Sangeet and all of that. All history is there in that paper.
So you always think that language is not the barrier.
Yeah.
And Rabindra Sangeet is not the religious issue. It is
Yeah.
basically the
Culturally grounded.
universal values.
Yeah.
It is deeply grounded, and it is basically the reflecting human value system. It is the universal value. So each individual has the three consciousness layers. Each individual. And we are interacting with others through these three layers of consciousness. And many things are there. That is, the students who are learning Ravindric psychotherapy, they can tell you many more things. Acha, that part is over now, and the second part is the descriptive statistics when the data are text. So I have given you one Excel sheet. That is some hypothetical data is there. So I will discuss this issue in the next class. That means on Sunday. And before that, we will give some assignment. Please you fill it up. So may I close the session now?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sure, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.